Welcome to Mundo Madness Monday, people. This is Mad
Mm,
Mundo.
mm.
This is Mundo coming at you live tonight on a Monday. I hope everybody's having a great Monday evening. I know I am. I got my drink in hand. Cheers, people. I got my alky right here. Don't worry, plenty of shots to go, plenty of shots to come around. And I've got R2 right here with me. Woo! What do you say, R2? We ready to kill it tonight? Yeah, we are. Yes, we are. Oh, yes, sir. We're gonna talk about it. Titan Rudy, what up? Cindy, what up, my man? How you guys doing tonight? How you all doing tonight? I am ready to rock and roll. Okay, R2. Ease. All right. Oh my goodness. R2 is just like super excited tonight. I am too, man, because I'm gonna enjoy tonight's topic, and I hope everybody who comes in and talks Sabers and is gonna enjoy tonight's topic as well. So tonight, what I want to talk about is, the transition of being uh, a Saber buyer gone into Saber installer. I mean, what did it take for you to say, "Hey, I can do this," or, was it money issue? Was it maybe you wanted to acquire the skills yourself? Did you want to be like, I'm not sure exactly how to really kind of come about it, but you know, uh, if you're getting into the hobby, if you're just getting into the hobby and eventually you want to install, so you want to acquire these skills, right? So I mean, it takes some skill to do this shit. I mean, you can't really just wing it, basically. Titan, it. And I know that some people are getting started out, and some people are way ahead of me, and some people are behind me and all that stuff, and I'm kind of like in the middle here. But uh anyway, what put you guys into the transition of becoming installers compared to being a buyer? Okay, so you bought plenty of Sabers, right? And you've kind of figured out how to put, some of your, um, you put it on your sound fonts. You probably started like that, right? You put your sound fonts on there. You got all your sound fonts, and you're happy with your Saber and so forth, right? So if you're happy with your Saber and your sound fonts, then you can actually end up, wanting to go further than that, right? Cal's putting everything together to sell as a kit helped me out a lot. I didn't know where to start on hardware back then. Yeah, man. See, Cindy, that's awesome, dude. Because it was, for my transition, I was like I said, dealing with the memory saber. I didn't know how to do anything, but I watched a lot of videos, and in watching some of these videos, and also listening to Cal's videos too. Hey Felicia, how you doing, Mama? Hey, that's okay. No worries, Mama. No worries at all. You showed up. That I mean, it doesn't matter if you show up a little late. We'll keep going. You show up in time, we keep going. It's all good. You know. So what I wanted to find out, and what I want the discussion to come in, and this is for all you folks too that come out there and you watch this a little bit later. If you want to get in on the discussion, put in the comments and everything. Um, I know you guys have probably already liked and subscribed to, Civilized Sabers and stuff like that. Anthony has done a great job of getting these the brightest blades out in the planet, Space Windu. So make sure that you keep up with that, because he's oh my gosh, we never know when we're gonna get uh a six blade, Oh Lord, what is he? He's up to five, the Pentastar right now. So we get to five, six, seven, eight. We'll get up there. Only space can make it work like that, man. Collector's Outpost. Hey, dude. What up, John? Hey, man. I'm glad you showed up tonight, dude. And one of these days, man, I need to get you on the show. That'd be freaking awesome, man. To have you on the show, bro. That'd be freaking awesome. I love your stuff too, by the way, man. I've been watching a lot of your past shows lately, so yeah. Money, bro, money, very on fire, man. So Titan says money is an issue as always, but I find once I have the right tool, I can make some magic happen. Yeah. So that's I think that's one of the biggest issues too with people is a money issue. Like for myself, right? You're very short and you're tight on your budget, your funds, and that everybody's got their personal preference on things, but as they feel like, okay, I'm spending $400 for this saber, but can I actually make that saber for 250? And just got the quad star, dude. I saw that the test, man. It is wicked cool, John. Wicked cool. I love the test you're doing, by the way. Um, very inspirational, informational, and everything. So for all you out there, if y'all don't know who the Collector's Outpost is, make sure you guys like and subscribe to his channel, John, because he got some amazing content on there. So please, by all means, stop by his YouTube channel and check him out, like and subscribe because he's badass. Always, man, he is cool. And he's always testing Anthony's blades too. So if you want to see some of those tests on there and what how much quality that Anthony has in his blades, John really shows what those blades are really made of, what they can do, how long they're gonna last, and all that information is great information. So if you ever have questions about Space Windu blades, Civilized Sabers blades, go to his channel and watch those vids because I guarantee you will not be disappointed. Um, so again, going back to the transition, hey, speaking of John, when did you transition from buying sabers and then into making the sabers and installing sabers yourself? I know you installed a few of them yourself, or do you continue to buy them? I just watched the last video I just watched and was this morning at work with my guys. We were watching the Star Killer that you had and that you weathered and did some things to it, man. So some modded and stuff. That was like cool. That was really cool. And so in the transition, like I said, some people it's about money. Some people it's about the acquiring the new skills, and then also like Benji acquired certain skills and stuff like that. But then he like the next step after doing a few of these, and then he started getting into chassis building, chassis making, and then just to get the all around experience of actually installing and building and so forth, just to upgrade his skills, right? So a lot of people want to upgrade their skills as they go along, as they keep, installing and so forth. But what we're really wanting to get to the bottom of is the transition point from buyer to installer. What made you stop, or you buy your hilts, of course, you still buy your hilts, but what made you stop buying the hilts without it already being installed? Was it skills that you wanted to acquire? Of course, we had a few people see, that it's the money and so forth. And to me, when I built my memory hilt, I don't think I really thought much about it in terms of acquiring the skill. the only way that I felt comfortable about uh, you know getting it done was, somebody's, there's a lot of quotes out there, and one of the quotes is, well, you know the best way to get something done is to do it yourself, right? And then that's one of the quotes that I hung out with. And Rudy, thank you for stopping by, man. I love you, man. I love you. Thank you, sir. And so, when I started this journey about my friend, I wanted to make sure that, for me, it was a personal journey to honor his memory, and to have, for myself, to acquire those skills and to do it. I probably watched Rob Petcow's, Mad Cow, his videos probably 100,000 times before I even considered putting two wires together and solder them. And I was very intimidated. I was very intimidated. And one of the very first hilts that I bought, well, of course, it was a long time, was the Darth Vader Master Replicas '03. I had bought that, and I've had that for a very, very long time. And I'm in the stage now where I'm ready to kind of get that thing, you know, put in NeoPixel and all that good stuff. So that to me is is and I think everybody here, considering what they've done, what they've learned, is basically a love of labor, right? I mean, we love the shit out of these lightsabers. We love what they are because of the Star Wars universe that we are so fond of, and also, but it's also a self journey, I believe, for all of us who become installers. Some pick it up faster than others. I myself am very slow to learn things, but once I do, I get it, and it won't ever leave me. That's just one. So these skills are very appreciative, and especially for the people who do those videos to get you to where you need to be to install your own Saber, let alone weather it, paint it, all these different customizations. Titan says, I think from now on, I will buy my Saber empty and have them installed, because a lot of times when I get a new Saber, there will be an issue with electronics. Then it's a hassle getting it fixed. Yeah. See, Titan, yeah. And you have to kind of shop around for installers, because, and see, who's very reputable and who's not. That's one of the things. And I think that there's a good point that you brought that up, because if you don't do your homework, if you don't shop around and see who are the good installers, who are the bad installers, who are just kind of like mediocre but want to try to get your money, um, because the reputation is everything, right? I do not consider myself an installer, and by no means at all right now, even though I'm installing, my own Sabers. I want to build up my portfolio. And maybe in time, when I get good enough, then maybe I can consider myself an installer at that point in time. You might consider me a Padawan learner for right now, right? But in the transition for people, and I've seen a lot of videos of people doing their installs, and some of them are really good, uh and the font makers as well, the transition from buying fonts as to making fonts, like BK, and BK put out a great video on learning to uh do everything with the Profi, right? To from step one to the end of programming and all of that stuff for your Profi. You did a wonderful job. And I just watched part of that video, because I had to go and do some work and everything like that. So I'm gonna finish watching the rest of it later. And it was a couple of years ago, but man, BK still killed it on that video. Lots of information. He had information from FET 263, and of course, FET 263 has some amazing content as well in terms of you wanting to install the Profi and where to get started, how to get started, what blade, well, and mostly blades, stuff, and I mean just amazing content. And then of course Megtooth also, Megtooth Sith. He's Tom is just such a wonderful person to full of information and everything like that. And again, Lando Sabers. Yeah, he's done his job. Hey, Rich, how you doing, man? Thank you for stopping by, buddy. I'm glad to see you, man. Cheers, brother. Cheers, bro. And so in the transition phase of it, though, how many people can actually say? Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people that say that they're willing to try it out, especially for. See, John says, I do my own weathering, but I have a little interest in learning how to install them. And it's really more of a time thing. That's a big factor, John. I'm glad you brought that up. Timing is everything as well. I think that's a huge factor that comes into play with the transition as well. In the transition, sometimes you have people that are like, and it takes a while to get, your savers. Sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it takes less, depending on the companies as well, right? So you may get your saber anywhere from maybe a month to the following year. Who knows? Depending if they're installing it for you or it's an empty. So, thank you, John, so much that you brought that point up, which is a time factor. Time and is very precious commodity in this day and age. And that's what we have. And if you don't, necessarily have time to wait on your sabers, or you don't have time to wait for the install, you go and you buy your saber already installed, so you're not spending as much time getting a saber that's already installed, as opposed to installing it yourself and learning the skills and installing yourself. But then on the flip side of the coin, you could learn how to install it and save yourself, like you get an empty, and it'll, let's say you get your empty in 3 weeks. Then you go to the custom saber shop, you buy all your innards, right? You get all your components for the guts on the inside, you build your chassis, you get your speaker, you get your wires, you get your buttons, you get everything all there. Now you got everything in front of you and you go like, okay, Mm, where do I start? It may be a little intimidating at first, but again, to get the skills and acquire the skills, you go and watch some of these videos, you learn from these videos, you go to the forums, you ask questions from the forums, and of course, everybody asks the same old questions too. A lot of people ask the same questions um, on these forums, but if you kind of read through some things, you can actually answer your own questions a lot of times. See, John says many companies today have been starting to push out installed ready to ship rather than waiting months. Yeah, I would agree, John, because a lot of people are getting to the point where they're a little irritated with some of these companies that they tell them, okay, I'll give it to you in a month, and month goes by, you don't get it. There's 2 months that goes by, you don't get it. And I guess because either they're so backed up or they're kind of not wanting to do the install right away. So they're working on other things other than what you want them to work on. So they need to push out today and not 6 months to a year. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, because it's kind of hard, and for certain installers, and you have to understand that certain installers, um, especially the really good ones, that they take their time to do the quality work to get your lightsaber the way it is. But Jeremy, like Jeremy from Smugglers and Albert, I mean, these guys are crazy, wicked fast on some of their install on a lot of their installs. They print their chassis, they get it going, they knock it out like there's no tomorrow, man. Titan says, I have noticed that many companies have upgraded their chassis like ones John has demoed lately. Yeah, they have. You know why these companies are up in their game on chassis is because they see people like Jeremy Smugglers Outpost, Jeremy and Benji and all the guys there, and even John from Tierflon. All of these guys, are basically running circles around these bigger companies. And yeah, they may have, a lot of bulk stuff. They get a lot of, orders and everything, and the they may not have the people enough to do it, or they work the people to death, and then people call in, they just don't have, the resources for it to get it to you the way that it should have. Uh, and I think some of these companies that actually, if they had their workers a lot happier, and I think their bottom line, their productivity would be, out of the roof, and even some of their uh, customer service. But let's see, I have noticed that many companies have upgraded. Yeah, did my lady? Okay, I'm reading same thing over and over. My eyes keep going like, whoo. That's what happens. Like I said, when you got dyslexia, you see things over and over again. Sometimes when you see them backwards, sometimes. So okay, so back to the transition part though. It's acquiring the skills, acquiring, everything that you want to achieve. Now, John, here's a question for you, bro. Okay. When you were buying when you were buying sabers that were already weathered, JJ, sorry, man. It's Mundo time. Yeah, JJ. Um, John, when you were buying your sabers, and were you buying them already weathered, and did it kind of really irritate you with some of the weathering that they've done? Like it didn't look right, and that's the reasoning that you started weathering your own sabers, or was it a like I want to do this, and I think it would be fun to do this? What really what tipped you over to start weathering your own sabers? Um, that's see, and that's where I'm trying to get at is the transition point from having somebody else do it to you doing it yourself, basically. And like I said, I think tonight's not all the sabers I got were all clean. Yeah, okay. So they were not all clean, and in terms of because they were weathered already, or because you didn't want them to, like they were supposed to be clean and they weren't, and it didn't look right, or how did that go for you? Because um, that's one of the things I'm looking at, and for those that can be watching, here today that are kind of new, or that will be seeing this later on that are new, so that they can kind of understand, like they're not alone, right? They're not alone in this hobby at all. No, no, no. They were all clean, not weathered. Okay. So were some of them not weathered when you asked them to weather it, or like I said, I'm trying to get to the point where what tipped you to start weathering? What really brought you to the point of weathering the sabers yourself? Is I guess where I'm trying to get at. Um, Sometimes I kind of go around the bin asking questions. I just don't ask directly somewhere around the way. But yeah, yeah. So that's one of the things I was trying to get at. Um, but tipping the scales from being a buyer to a maker, or a from a buyer to an installer to a buyer to a weatherer. These are the questions that we're looking at, and what what tipped this do this on their own, you know. Titan says, I need to try using aluminum bronze black on my sabers, but I love sanding the black edges off a saber to make it look weathered. Yeah, see? Okay. So Titan, what prompted you? What got you to start doing some of these weathering a little bit? You know, that's where I want to get at. So all the Disney stuff and LG come clean as an artist, painter, some dramas, musicians. I'm always trying to take things to the next step. Okay, perfect. See, John, that's what it is. That's where I'm trying to get at. People are always trying to get to that next step, right? Try new things, correct? So, like one of the things I wanted to do was, since I have to reinstall my memory saber. I wanted to try something different with it. Mikey, what up, dude? What up? And so one of the things that I wanted to do, and of course you all know that I'm of course making my own clamp cards, right? And you know, so check this out right here. Let me. There we go. So here's one of the things that I'm doing, right? A new clamp card that I came out, and I am actually trying, and I'm going to try it on the memory saber when I rewire everything, reinstall it, and all that good stuff. So I'm trying something different, and so this is the beginning of the new upgrades to the saber, right? Uh, Actually being inspired by other people doing weathering. Yeah, Titan, you see, I've been seeing a lot of people doing things, and you know, also I've watched a lot of videos on people weathering even the plastic toys and so forth to make it look like it's metal when it's really not metal. It's absolutely mind-boggling and amazing at the same time. I mean, just oh my God, it's astonishing how I've seen some of these things turn out. And take for instance, you know, somebody who's done a Han Solo DL-44, and it's complete plastic, and they turn it into freaking looks like the actual metal on that thing. And my goodness, it is a thing of beauty. And so for those people, I mean, complete artistic people to make a plastic piece look like metal is unbelievable. And I applaud you guys. And, you know, again, John, yourself as well, man, because yeah, your weathering is just super tight, bro. Super tight. I just weathered my 89 Sabers to look like the master replicas. That was fun. Yeah, it looked awesome, dude. It really looked awesome. And I love the collection you have behind you too, man. It's killer. I really like it. I enjoy it. So eventually all of this up here is gonna have nothing but sabers. I'm hoping one of these days I can move the entertainment center out and just put a built-in behind me that'll look pretty badass. But that's still a long ways off. So, you know, maybe, you know, several years out. Or if I end up acquiring a shed, I can put everything in the shed and make it kind of really deck out the room. And I will once I have it decked out, then I can have a tour of the whole place, you know. But that's going to take some time. So the transition again, yeah, John. So see, that is where the transition was, and Titan for you as well, right? So you were very inspired by other people doing the weathering, and so you took it upon yourself to learn how to weather and to do certain things of weathering. and it just started, and then it snowballed from there, right? So you got the ball rolling, and you said, you know what? Yeah, I can do this. I got this. I got it. I can do it. And that's another thing is that when people find out that they can do it, you know, they always say that the first step is the hardest step to take. And once you take that first step, everything else becomes a little bit easier as you start walking. And once you start walking and you start learning how to move a little faster, you start moving a little faster, you start learning how to run. And when you start learning how to run, the ball is on its way rolling down. So you go from there. So your transition from buying your weathered sabers to weathering it yourself, from buying your installed sabers to installing them yourself, buying chassis to install them yourself, to start making chassis yourself. So you see, that's where tonight's show is really going, is the transition from where you're at in your skill level as you progress from really enjoying what you're doing of you, and of course, I think the main focus also, the main focus, John, like you and I and everybody around, the main focus is collecting the sabers, right? I mean, that in itself brings joy to us. I mean, especially the way they are, each different saber has its own different soul to it, its own different destiny, its own its own personal magic. And with the magic that comes with each personal saber and each one that you buy, and it's you want to make sure that it brings you joy in everything that you're getting, that you're buying, that you're wanting. Because yes, you can have a bad experience if you do not go through the proper channels of learning where to go, where not to go. Felicia says, I like the greased up look on all the bits, not just the weathering. That's cool. Grimy hopes that makes sense. Yes, Felicia, space is dirty and cold. And, you can make it look pristine like you just made it, and that's cool. But in the end, really, it's going to be dirty. It's going to be dirty. That's why with my memory saber, I keep it here in the garage. I don't worry about nicks and scratches on it because that to me is natural weathering. It'll naturally weather. It's going to naturally get, scratches, whatever have you will, because in reality, if we were in space, everything would get scratched up and dirty, right? It's not going to be pristine unless you are actually making it right then and there. Or buying it from somebody who made it right then and there. And yeah, I think there are some hills that really need to be in a pristine setting due to the fact that, like, if you're going to have a shelf queen and somebody just kind of like, okay, I took it and it was brand new, I robbed somebody of it and it's mine, and I'm going to place it where I can see it at all times, right? I'm going to place it where I can see it at all times. No. No. Because we know Jedi, Sith, they were battling. Space, dirty and cold. Anybody who is anybody needs to be tied to the back of the car and drive it around for 2 minutes. Weathering done. There you go, John. I like your thinking, bro. Oh my God, that'd for sure get it going really quick. I mean, 2 minutes? Shoot, I think 30 seconds would be more than sufficient, man. You'd have some major nicks and stuff in there. You definitely have a battle scarred saber, for sure. Felicia says it would seem to me it would be hard when to stop weathering like a painter, when to put down the brush. Yeah, Felicia. Yeah, at times. I mean, I'm pretty sure that people like John. It would take maybe 3 minutes on the back of the car. Rudy. Tight says, I agree, Felicia. Can't just do a little weather. Yeah, that's the thing. And it's all personal preference, too, really, on how much you feel is enough. And a lot of times, if you're like me, you second guess every little freaking thing you do on these sabers, right? Like, it took me. And weathering is easy to overdo. I've heard that, John. I've heard that. But everything is different. Yeah, I've heard that you can overdo stuff and even really make it kind of not too dirty, but just make it like wrong. Like, you know, instead of it being like, dude, that's great, instead of, dude, that's freaking awesome. You know, you've got those differences in there that from great to awesome, and depending on what your level of uh, skill is on, like, for me, if I decide to weather, I would want somebody to actually take me through the steps to weathering, even though I've seen plenty of videos, and as you build up the dirt, you can pull back and find that less is better. Same way with John, yes, totally agree, man, because um even with sound fonts, to me, kind of like less is better. Not everybody tends to think the way I do, and everybody has got personal preferences, right? For me, I think the absolute soul of a saber, if you get 4 or 5 really good sound fonts that bring that character out of that saber, to bring that soul, to bring that living entity out of that saber. If you have 4 or 5 good fonts that really bring it to life, that's all you really need. But then you have all these people. Sometimes you have a lot of people that want to put 20 or 30 fonts on these sabers because they put a lot of money into it. And I agree. I mean, if you want to put all these fonts on there, cool. By all means, it's a personal preference, but for that, y'all. And so, forgive me, guys. I'm gonna take a shot for you guys. And John, here's to you, man. I'm gonna take a shot for you. Rudy, I'm gonna take a shot for you. I'm gonna take a shot for everybody here. So cheers, guys. Cheers to you guys. Cheers to you guys. Hey, oh, Rich, you too, man. I didn't leave you out, bro. Leave you out, man. Um, again, man, Cindy, cheers to you, buddy. Um, Everybody has that personal preference, right? On how many fonts that you can put. And I think Titan Skull. Take it, buddy. Take it, Titan. Um, you know, to bring out the soul in the saber for each and every one of you guys and ladies out there. And it's a personal preference on how much you want to weather your saber, how many fonts you want to put on your saber, and all of the things that bring the saber so much joy into your life. I mean, it's all personal preference. Yeah, Rudy, shot time. Hey, I'm already ahead of you, Brody. I'm already ahead of you. So, in doing so, right? In doing so, you really bring out how much love that you have for the sabers. And do you want to transition? Okay, so this is coming from a buyer standpoint right here. Um, Coming from a buyer standpoint, okay, we buy like one of the very first sabers that I bought was the Evo, right? This was uh aside from the uh, Vader one that I had. That was really the very first true Saber that I bought that was installed already. Okay, I love the hell out of that hilt. I really do. And it, it came with some problems. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on with the board. But I've talked to Dave from Electrum, and we worked out some stuff before, a couple of times, and it worked. About a week or two, then it had another problem, and you know, I contacted him again. I sent it out. He sent it back. It was working for another week, and then it went kaput again, and now this time it's just not even functioning. So it's like, and he and I have talked, and they have great customer service, right? Dave is a great human being for as much stuff as he does, and he has that great customer service by trying to fix what's going on, right? But some of us, like I said, we don't have the funds to keep sending it back over there to get it fixed, only to get it back a week and it's kaputs again, and then we got to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, see, there in itself, right there, is another reason I became wanting to install my own lightsabers, right? Yes, Titan, they do. They do awesome weathering. I have nothing really bad to say about, Electrum. I just think that the boards that they are producing may have some bugs to work out. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything bad about them because they're Dave's a great person, and you know it's a little disappointing. You know, yeah. See, right there, I have the Evo Flex. Wait almost 4 months, and it was nothing but a massive disappointment. Yeah, that's the thing, right? The boards, I think that they have a lot of problems that need to work out, that needs to get worked out. Uh, they have great customer service, and Dave is always listening and looking out and seeing what people are saying and attempting to say, hey, you know what, we can fix that. Titan says I have the remnant with the diadium 2 board and it never worked right. Again, there you go. See, point taken right there. So these are more points as well that get people to transition from buying hilts into doing them themselves or getting a reputable, more accurate installer to do those. Excuse me, guys. And when you hire these installers, when you get to those points, you've already paid for your installed hilt to begin with, right? So in reality, let's say your Saber craps out and you're sending it back to get it fixed, and then it just doesn't work the way it's supposed to. And now you're going to have to pay even more to get it fixed up. And either way, you're going to pay. Either way, you're going to end up paying either to do it yourself or to have somebody else do it for you. But again, like you said, like John, like you said, time is a big factor, right? So if you don't have the time to do it yourself, you send it to somebody who is installing them, and make sure you do your homework, by the way. If you don't do your homework on who's good and who's not, you're going to be wasting even more money. Yeah, let's see. John says, here's the problem now. Electrum's big thing was having an app. Now Xeno and Pixel have apps, and I think Electrum is going to have to step it up big time. They are. They are going to have to step it up, because if they do not step it up, I can almost see what's going to happen. So many people are going to get so disappointed in their product that they're going to not. Everybody's going to drop them like a bad habit, and as much customer service as Dave can pop out, I don't think it'll be enough to saved that company in the end. But God bless him. You know, I really do hope and pray that they work things out and get things, you know, super fixed up and kind of iron those things out. Um, because they have some pretty good, you know, hilt concepts. Really, they really do. Uh, very. I think Titan says, I think Tim from Tirfon got it right in one of his videos when he mentioned that they need to upgrade their chip from a 16-bit to 32-bit. I agree. I agree. Wholeheartedly. They need to do that on top of a few other things. I think there's some other things on that board that really do need to be upgraded a lot. Um, because, I mean, a lot of things are kind of surpassing them already, and it's unbelievable. Um, John, so how is your Xenopixels? Are they still working really well since you ended up? I think you got the last Saber you had, right? I think it was the was it Kenobi one that had the Xenopixel, something like that. My brain's going 100 miles an hour, so please forgive me. Let's see. Since he says 32-bit would help quite a bit and some faster RAM. Of course. Of course. I mean, come on. This day and age, everything needs to be at least a 32-bit. 16-bit, I think, is going to be way too slow for anything that comes out now. 16-bit is like if you want a hilt that you can just practice with and do nothing with, then by all means, let it come. But other than that, I think a 16-bit is just it's going to be obsolete. You know, anything 32 and above is going to be more what we need. I don't think that 16-bit can do all the functions they want out of it. No, I don't think so either, Titan. I really don't. I really don't think that it can do everything. And I think they're trying to push that 16-bit to its very, very max function, and it's really not agreeing with everything on there. I mean, it's just not enough power to run what everything that they're wanting to do. They really need to have that 32-bit, and if they do end up getting the 32-bit, I still think that there's more that they can do on there. I haven't even looked at the board itself, but just like I haven't opened it up and just pulled the chassis out and look at everything. I have not, and eventually I probably will. Um, you know, once I get the funds to actually put a new board in it, or maybe you know, and even I've heard some people like start making their own boards. You know, look at Cal, right? When Cal started, God bless his man. God bless him because now he's like a titan in the industry, right? But you know, for a while he started doing just the installs and making videos and getting little parts here and there to people, and then all of a sudden now he's got his own boards, right? The Verso. I mean, he came out with the Verso point two, and upgraded the pixel sticks, and you know, and look at everything that he's doing now. Cal, so I hope you're watching this, man, and kudos to you, bro. I hope you really can make it July 29th on the show. So we're hoping everybody cross your fingers that, you know, Cal will come on, you know, we'll have time because we set that up, but we'll see. You know, everybody's got that time constraints and stuff like that too. So, um, so anyway, back to what tips people one way or another is certain factors, right? You have the certain factors. Titan says, does anyone know why Electrum doesn't sell their hilts empty? Yeah, of course. Titan. Um, they don't sell them empty for the reasoning that it's more money for them to have it installed already, right? They don't want to have to deal with, you know, asking somebody, you know, somebody asking for them, you know, hey, you have a chassis for this. Can you do this? Can you do that? Instead of, no, We're selling it one way and one way as is, and that's it. Uh, you know, there's quite a few companies like that. I believe Vader's Vault does that, right? Vader's Vault doesn't do any empties at all. They are selling their product one way, and that's it. It's installed CFX or I think that's what they use. I think they use the CFX in most of their in hilts and stuff. But yeah. But again, you know, there's some companies that do that. They're going to sell it one way with the guts and installed and all, and that's it, and that's the only way you're going to buy it. I also think that maybe it could be a proprietary type thing that they don't want people stealing, you know, the design of things that they have. So, or the maybe the threading type stuff that they do. So they sell it that way, and it becomes less of a hassle to worry about those things. So, at least that's my opinion. I mean, my opinion. I can't speak for anybody else. But that would be very interesting question, Titan, to ask them. It really would. The touch button may have something to do with it as well. I have thought about that, John. I really had thought about that, that it could be the touch sensors on there as well. However, if it's that much of a issue, I mean, you would have to basically clean the buttons like every night, right? With some isopropyl alcohol or some kind of cleaner, electronic cleaner, just to kind of compensate for the acids in your fingers and everything else. And if the acids in your fingers are kind of seeping into there and getting into that, you know, it just depends. I mean, there's all kinds of factors that could be into it, right? I see installers drill right through the things. Yeah, of course. Um, Yeah, like Albert, you know, from Smugglers, he's installed one, and then Tim from Tierfon has installed them, and as well as I think Jeremy's installed some too, right? And they've all put buttons on those things instead of having it through the touch. Now Albert had did one where he ended up utilizing the touch sensors on top of already without putting buttons in there. The I guess the customer wanted, you know, to keep the touch sensory, you know, with the install. So like I said, each to his own, right? Each to his own. However, so there's many ways of getting into that and doing that. And again, personal preferences get from one area to the next. Um, the touch sensor is unique, and Tim and Jeremy have figured out a way to keep the touch sensor with their installs on Electrum Sabers. Yes, of course, and it is a very unique way to your ignitions and retractions for your Saber. I I I was blown away that they actually had a touch sensor. That was one of the things that drove me to buying an Electrum because of the touch sensor. It wasn't just buttons, right? It just wasn't that. You can run capacitive buttons on Profi and CFX. I think a lot of people just prefer the clickies. Yeah, Cincy, I kind of agree, man. I kind of agree. One more shot before the show's over. Rudy, I don't think the show's going to be over for quite a while, bro. We're having some good fun here, I think. And the discussion is going pretty strong. I love all the interaction that you guys are giving me because it's such an awesome, you know, I've got awesome people in here. So for all of you guys, take another shot, especially for you, Rudy. Everybody, this is for y'all. Nothing like hot vodka. Oh my goodness. Love it. Love it. Love you guys though. Man, it's such a great discussion tonight because really I'm enjoying the discussion. I'm enjoying the discussion. so much because to me, in what we're doing tonight, we're gonna open some eyes as well for those our newbies. They're gonna watch the show later, hopefully, and even some veterans. They're gonna watch the show, and I hope they enjoy watching tonight's show as well. Titan says, I agree, Cincy. You don't see people putting touch sensors on their sabers, really. And in the Star Wars world, we see lots of buttons, but in reality, how much of touch sensors were really in Star Wars? You had people who had to use their hands, right, to open doors. You had people who used, all these kind of different sensors for different things in the Star Wars world. So who's to say that none of the sabers came with the touch sensory type, right? We all see kind of buttons and everybody's doing buttons, but that to me is a unique factor. And that's what, like I said, that's what sold me from the Eagle. Eagle, that's one would want to put some real buttons on too if I was an installer of such an in-world design. Yeah, okay. Like what kind of buttons would you put, John? Like would you would you put like these kind of buttons on there, or would you put like the ones I have here on the board? Would you put those buttons on there? Yeah, I apologize, people. It's not gonna. Anyway, you don't want to get in there, but those buttons, and then there's some other, maybe even a slide button, right? A slide button, or just where you up and down, and you have one little clicky button for your auxiliary. One of the problems with the touch button was that I would turn it off or on at the same time, just holding it. Yeah, yes, that was a big problem. You could swing it around and twirl it and everything, and it would turn off right then and there. So yeah, I have to. Yeah, Cynthia, I would put them all on there. Give me all the buttons. Right? I agree, Cindy. Put them all. Okay, put them all. You'd have a whole hilt with nothing but full of buttons, right? So you're swinging that thing, boom, boom, boom. That's funny. That is too funny. But it'd be interesting to see. Well, I think Space did one where he had them switches, right? That you could switch to different colors on some of his hilts, and then he also had. There was a few other people that I think that had like not just the two buttons, but they had a few others where they could go and do different things with those buttons. Pretty incredible. Keep the design, but just slide it up. There you go. I think that would be an awesome way for that hilt to be done. Is a slide ignition and slide retraction. That would be. I think that would be ideal for that kind of hilt. Honestly, yeah. I want to roll it on my face to set off a blaster effect. Cincy. Pew pew pew. Oh my god, too funny. It's too funny, man. Hilarious, man. Hilarious. So, buttons. So, how many John, have you ever attempted to actually wire a button at all, or not really at all? Just you just done straight up weathering. That's pretty much the extent of it. Or have you just dabbled and kind of like done something with the Saber? Because I myself, when that Evo really kind of crapped out, and like I said, my friend's memory saver was, no, I've just had to fix stuff. Yeah, some things that probably popped off, or you kind of figured out how to kind of tweak it a little bit. Um, with my friend's memory saver, and like I said, my transition into doing it myself, as opposed to getting it done, was really a matter of true Jedi honoring his memory, but at the same time, put a wire back on and change the speaker. Yeah, see, that's where some people start. You start out small. I mean, um, that has a lot to do with it, with some of the transitions, because when you just do like a wire change, a wire change, or even just a speaker change, you're like, okay, that was pretty simple. I mean, I can move to the next step. I can do that. I can do, wire this up to this part. And then you go from there, right? Titan goes, oh my God, the speaker changes. Ugh. I take it you blast out your speakers quite a bit, Titan. Huh? You blast them out quite a bit. That's what I'm getting here. How many have you actually changed out, bro? Huh? Oh my gosh. I bet quite a bit. I believe probably quite a bit. um, so going back to the transition, right? Of just you're doing small stuff and you see these installers doing small. So let's say you go and you get an installer to install a speaker for you because you don't know how to do it, right? Yes, I have about 3 to 4 Sabers that need new speakers. Yeah. I kind of figured. You blasted them out, but hey, that's part of the fun, right? As loud as you can get it, swing that son bitch. Let's get the party started. um, so going to the transition, when you start with the wire and you start with the speaker, but because let's say you're so intimidated, you don't know what to do on how to get the speaker in there, and let alone wire the speaker, let alone put solder 2 wires together. So you send it off to an installer to get the speaker put in. You get it back, and you paid, let's say you paid $40, right, to get it, the speaker done. Now I'm not saying it's $40, but I'm just saying let's just be, per hearsay, a price on giving an installer, that he has to take it apart, put all new wire in it, get the speaker, whatever the speaker costs, and then put it all back together, right? So the time that it takes to get the parts, to get the wires soldered together, to put it all back together, just because of the speaker. It's not just the thing. And then you have some of these installers that may not care what they do to your Saber. Okay, they're going to take out the bad speaker. They're going to just whoop, whoop, real quick, put the new speaker in, and that's the end of it. And don't care whether maybe there's a faulty wire in there or not. They're just going to put it right back in and then send it right back to you for that, right? Probably take them about 10 minutes. All right, he's done. Get on to the next one, send it out. Quick, easy, $40 for a 2-minute job, right? Then you have those installers that, okay, I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to make sure that these wires are still pliable, make sure they still have coherency, make sure, um, that they are good to where I don't have to change them out. But let's say, the installer takes it out and notices that there's a wire that is sticking out that could be a potential for a saber wheel, right? And so the installer takes it apart, gets a brand new wire, takes that brand new wire, solders it up together, puts the new speaker onto the wires, and there you go. Then he sends it off. Probably takes him 30 minutes to get it all done. Whereas opposed to that other guy that took 2 minutes to replace that speaker and send it back. So you have those that really take, love what they do and want to take care of the people that they're taking care of. You have other installers that really just, okay, give me your money, I'll do it for you, no problem. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. All right. You got those that care and those that don't. That's why it's important. And I reiterate this, and I say it often because there's a lot of people out there. You can tell them 10, 20 times and they still don't get it up here to do your homework. You can tell them 100 times. Maybe they're just barely getting to it. But then again, they go to somebody not reputable and then they want to cry about it because they didn't take the advice that was given to them freely. Lando Sabers, for instance, puts so much effort into his research. John puts so much effort into his research for doing all of these informational videos on what to do, what not to do, and they don't take the time to answer their own questions about things. And then they go and do this, or they even do take the time and they still do like, oh no, he's wrong, or they're wrong, and I'm right, I can do this, and I'll just do it this way. And then they lose money and they want to cry about it. Well, come on. If you had listened in the first place, or even did your homework in the first place, or even watched videos, ask questions on the forums, or even just look at the forums, and you can answer your own questions. If you've gone through all of the channels, videos, forums, questions, here's one for everybody who can get that has easy access to a lot of questions as well, is the manual. Now, if you're like me and you have a hard time reading, you're dyslexic, you have a hard time, take it slow. Read as slow as you can and get what you can get out of each and every paragraph. And if that's not working for you, watch the videos and then again go and ask questions. But do everything that you can before you go and ask the question, because is somewhere along the way your questions will be answered if you know where to look, if you know where to go, if you know what to do. Your own questions will be answered. And there is some valid questions. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of valid questions, especially when you're just starting out. Um, if you're just starting out and you have all these questions and you've gone through all the channels, by all means, go and ask reputable people. Don't just ask these wishy-washy people. I mean, come on. Wishy-washy people will give you several different answers and it leaves you like, okay, yeah, I'll maybe try that. No, you don't want a maybe. You want a definite answer. You want to know exactly what to do. That is how it works. Okay. Titan says it was smart to use quick connectors on speakers for easier swaps. I agree. I agree. I'm trying these quick connectors, but I don't know yet. I had one burned out, so I don't know if what was, maybe it might have been a faulty one. So I got a pack of 20. So maybe there's a really good one in there that I can use for both my battery and my speaker. So I just don't want to screw up the speaker with that quick connect if it burns out. So I got to do a lot of testing before I make sure that once I get it all wired up and quick connect and all that good stuff, and make sure that it ain't gonna burn up once I put it in this, in the Saber, and then once I take it off for the quick connect, everything works good and all of that stuff. But I'm gonna have to cut them like really short, make them really short. That's one of the things that really kind of scares me. The shorter it is, it's quicker to fire, get a fire going in there. So, but you wire it up right, you might not have anything to worry about. But at the same time, it's something new in my book. When I had it wired up, it was perfect, and I didn't have to worry about any fire or anything. But now that I'm trying these quick connects at them, whew, You know, it's a little overwhelming here. Speakers are low power, so the quick connection should be fine. I would be careful with the battery though. Cincy, that's the thing. Yeah, the speakers for the quick connect are good. It was the battery that kind of burned up. So, but I wanted to do where I could do a quick connect both with the battery and the speaker at the same time. You know what I mean? Um, my thought processes were, okay, I'm gonna have the quick connect with the speaker, but because the speaker is with the battery, right? The speaker is with the battery. Let me show you guys. I got this right here. So I'm gonna open it up, and I've got this piece right here, right? So this piece right here, this back piece holds the battery. So to give you guys an idea of what's going on here. So pommel, right? Here's my 26650, right? And the speakers right there. So all of this together is all together. And I wanted to do, and I'm gonna have to. I know that I'm gonna have to shorten these up eventually, but this to me right here was so that I could hook it up aside a little far away from the main body itself. So in case it did kind of start any firing in the wiring or whatever, I can quickly connect it and get it away from there. You know, I mean, you know, throw it whatever I have to do to get it not burning or anything. So that was one of the whole points is to have the quick connect. Let's say there was something going on with the Saber, like, you know, whatever was going on, I could quickly take the part off and undo everything, slide everything out, and there's no power to the rest of the Saber. That was my whole thought process, is to do something a little bit quick and easy and a little bit, so putting it back in here, right? So it just slides right up in there, and then the pommel goes right into there, and it doesn't move pretty much. If you could see the anything, it really doesn't move any of the battery or anything. And surprisingly, the battery itself moves very little in here. I mean, you can hear a little bit of it, but I mean, it's once I get it all tight with everything, and the other half of the Saber that goes on here, it's pretty much solid in there. Hey, Chet, how you doing, man? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Yeah, man, glad you made it. Glad you made it, dude. So that was, you know, that's another thing that my thought processes were, is to try something new on the memory saver, since it was already shorting out somewhere and wanted to rewire it. That was one of the things that was trying to do for the Saber itself, was to do a quick connect. Now it may end up being where I might have to do that quick connect for just the speaker itself. By the way, the speaker that's in here now, is a Smuggler's Outpost speaker. So yeah, and it's loud as hell, man. Oh my god, I about gave myself a heart attack with it. When I fired that board up, and oh my god, it just like out of nowhere, that thing was, I wasn't expecting it that loud, and geez, I about gave myself a heart attack when that came on. Hello there. But it would have been much better had my friends, you know, said, "Que pasa, mama?" That would have been funny. But either way, hey, Kenobi is all good. My buddy, my brother, all good. Either way would have been cool. And but you know, transitioning to doing those quick connects, trying something different with the clamp card, right? Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm trying to achieve with this clamp card, but at the same time, I think it's more of a steampunkish artistic type thinking. You know, do you have a recharge port on your Tribute Saber? If so, there, where is it placed? Yeah, the recharge port basically is in the hilt itself, the board. Let me see. Okay. So because I had to rewire everything and I took it all apart, right? So let me show you. This is the piece right here, the main part. So the recharge port is right here, and the rice port is right here. Okay. Um, and then in here is the you know uh, PLI right in there. So the buttons will light up when this is lit. When I turn on the Saber, you'll see this light up, right? And what I wanted to do in my train of thought, see, I could have put the 26650 battery in here and it would have fit. But when I designed the Saber itself, I really wasn't thinking about putting the battery in here at all. And so I had what I was thinking was because you know how Kenobi has the two buttons there, right? So Kenobi had the two buttons. I wanted to do artistically put, the kill switch and maybe just a minute here. Do the kill key and maybe get a eventually I'd like to do is get one of those jacks. I would really need to find somebody to see if they could get a jack like this and make it acrylic, right? So, and with the flat surface, so that it'll shorten everything up. So if you see that a flat jack, acrylic jack, or maybe even the um, plastic jack that will fit right in here, and it'll have a flat bottom to it. It'll have a flat bottom to it, so it won't stick out, right? Because if you look at the kill key goes in there and it looks fantastic, right? So if I can get a jack with something similar, plastic that'll go in there with a flat surface, it'll really make it pop, right? It'll really make it pop. So um, that was the concept of my thinking uh, before. So, but with this kind of jack, it I noticed that when I first did this, to do the rice stuff, it had a potential to short. It's simply because when I put it in, I saw the little zit, and that kind of prompted me to not use this anymore to the rice port. So what I would have to do is to make sure that power is off before I even put the rice in there, and then plug the Saber back in, make sure that then I turn on the power and do it that way, because otherwise it probably short everything out. So, but if I had, the plastic in here and then turned it off, power off, then put the rice on there when I'm gonna do the rice stuff, it'll pretty much work out that way, right? And of course, I've got the chassis from Albert, right? Smuggler's Outpost. He really did an awesome job for the chassis on the board that will go in here, right? It'll sit right up in there and it'll be tight once I get it. Oh, Rich, cool. That would be awesome, dude. That'd be awesome. Let me know. Text me and let me know what you can do. That'd be kind of cool, man, so that I can kind of not leave these open. And that'd be kind of like sweet, dude. That'd be sweet. So, that's all my train of thought right there in terms of getting things. Well, you know what? Let me show you also how I kind of did the PLI that goes in there, right? And it's kind of funny because I had to modify. I actually had to cut out part of a circuit board, and I made this little cutout right here. So the circuit board that I had when I was measuring the PLI and get the wires in there, and I stick the wires down in there, and then kind of rock it into place, and then you can see how it kind of widens it up right there, right? So it's not just falling through the crack. And then get the wires and you stick it right up in here and you shove it down in there and it'll sit between the two holes down in there that are got the screws, right? So it just sits right up on top. But there's no metal touching since I've got that circuit board right there that protects it. Now, the thing that I had to worry about was the buttons that were on top in my first reiteration of the clamp card. And let me see, where did I put that other clamp card? Because let me see. Think. Oh, okay. So here we go. This was the first one, right? This is the first one that I did. And you can see the buttons right there. So I was always cautious because anything right here, and I made it super tight, but if any of these little parts in here from the buttons touched it, that would be really, really detrimental. And I think maybe that may have played a part in what was going on with the Saber. I'm not sure yet. But I will find out when I rewire everything and put the new buttons. So with the new buttons like this, right, there's not going to be any metal whatsoever touching any of this inside here. All the buttons are going to be up on top, so I don't have to worry about any of that. And all of these wires here are going to go right into that little hole and down underneath to fit with all the rest of the wires that will come out, right? So there's my train of thought right there for the new improved memory saber. Damn, it's getting hot in here. So yeah, but again, I could have bought a Saber already installed with his voice on it. So I could have paid somebody to do it, right? But for me, as a person honoring his memory, as a person interested, yeah, thanks, Chet. I really appreciate that, man. And as somebody who wanted to acquire some new skills, what better way to honor his memory was than to do it myself. That the family and friends that we have, for me to show them what I have accomplished in his honor, in his name, with his voice, with the Saber. And thanks God, thanks be to God for the TCSS, man, because TCSS really made it easier for me to pick things out instead of going to somebody and explaining what I wanted to achieve, how I wanted to achieve it. And I kind of used their Saber builder to kind of get the look that I wanted. And I pretty much, achieved that with their Saber builder and then went from there. And as time went by, and because, funds and time, right? So John, with the time factor put into it, uh, it took me a whole year to figure out what kind of design I wanted. I was looking at everything. Oh my God. I would take days to decide, the pommel, or days to decide the body, how, if I wanted the body, would I wanted the body that way. I mean, I went through all kinds of different scenarios and all different kinds of designs, and it just kept taking me further and further, past the time that I really wanted to make the design. So I spent a whole year going and agonizing piece by piece of the Saber until I got what I wanted. Rich said, I would make it a flat end, and you can glue a metal greebly to the end to look like Obi-Wan. um, yeah, I mean that might work. I don't know. I'd have to kind of check it out, man. Send me some pics of things, or kind of show me what you're looking at, right? I'm visual. I'm a real big visual person, so uh, and then Chet say, hey, Rich, play with the resin printer, correct? Yeah. Chet, thank you so much. Yeah, it's gonna look nice. I'm hoping it's gonna look nice. Um, so with the second button here, right? You're not gonna see the wires come over it on the second button, because the second button right here is just gonna have the wires go straight into the hole. Sorry guys. So the wires are just gonna fall off and go straight into the hole right there. So you're gonna see a lot less wire on this button than you will see on this one right here. Um, and that's artistically a design that I wanted to do. Now, I could drill behind it. I could drill some really small holes behind that and have it run underneath. But I'd rather have it run to the front like that, because I think it kind of looks a little bit cool like that. All right. And then since the second button will have the yellow and black wire, and then everything will kind of play in together, come together like that. So uh, a lot of different design type things to come into play. So yeah, but I'll be making some more of these clamp cards later on. So if somebody decides they want one, hit me up, and um, you know I'll give you a price on it and stuff. So they'll be kind of fun. I've got some, not some of these, because this is actually my prototype right here, and it looks like it turns out pretty decent. Oh, thank you, Rudy. Thank you, man. I'm glad you're enjoying the show, man. Glad you're enjoying the show. And so, again, going back to the title, the transition of, uh, Chet. Okay, so since you showed up, man, I've got, if you noticed what's been going on with the show right now, the discussion that we're having. From what point, what brought you over the point from buying an already installed Saber to installing your Sabers? Okay, that's what the show is pretty much about. Was it a money factor? Was it a time factor? Was it a bad experience of buying a Saber? What brought you to the point of installing your own Sabers type stuff? Or even just even weathering your own Saber. I mean, things that you're doing on your own to your own Saber, instead of having somebody else do it for you. So that pretty much is the gist of the show right there. I want to, I find this kind of interesting. So and people's insight, right? And I would so in getting with the transition that people have, right? Getting to the bottom line, there's several factors that people have, or even common denominators that people have, that bring them over that edge of wanting to install, wanting to weather, wanting to do their own stuff to their own Sabers, instead of outsourcing, getting a Saber bought and done and so forth. So that's what I'm looking for in tonight's episode of Saber Talk. It'd be interesting to see in uh, different opinions, and different people have different ways of doing things in different situations. So I want to bring to light the kind of situations that people can run into, and what brings them over the edge to do their own stuff instead of just buying and buying and buying. Because we're all here, we're all collectors. That's our main priority, right? Collecting the Sabers, whether they be installed already or they do them ourselves. But we collect the hilts nonetheless. But I want to know. Let's see. I bought a SF and it was just okay. And then I saw Darth Alice's Ignited Redeemer, and I was hooked. See, yeah. And at one point, did you think to yourself, like, hey, if these guys can do it, I can too. I just need to learn how to do it and do it? Or how did it go? right? What was your plan of action? It was a little bit of all of the above for me, but mostly because I wanted to finish my Jedi training and build my own saber. Yeah, Cindy. See, that's how I feel too. Also, because I don't know, my opinion. There's something more to doing and building it yourself as opposed to just buying it, right? And especially if you buy it and something goes wonky with it. Uh, and I know like Jedi Arms Dealer has done such an amazing job on a lot of his hilts with Anthony, Space Windu, and Harris and Gabe, and all of these guys, and Will Ailing. I mean, oh my God, all of these installers and builders. It makes you wonder what they. Yeah, it feels more special. Exactly. See, and you wonder what they went through, what happened that they decided to go down this route instead of just buying and started doing it themselves. Other than just because the love of it, but it feels, I think the feeling that you get with doing it yourself as well is almost overwhelming when you get one done and it works, and you're like, when you, for the first time, and that thing ignites, and you're like, dude, when I first ignited that memory saber, I about cried, dude. I about cried. And let me tell you why, because I learned so slowly. Chet says pretty much saw how they were doing it and thought I can totally do it. And when I finished my first install, it was like treasure. Yeah, man. And I'm going to tell you, it took me 3 years, right? 3 years to build this memory saver. And the reasoning for that was one, a time factor, two, money, because when I had the money, the custom saber shop didn't have the part that I needed, right? So it was months on end. And then there was a time where they were so out of stock of stuff, you had to wait months to get the parts and stuff, right? So, I had to wait for a while for parts, but at the same time, when they didn't have a part, I had the money. When I had the money, when they had the parts, I didn't have the money. So it's like, damn, how the hell am I going to get this achieved? But in the meantime, I was watching all these videos. I ordered some boards. I ordered wires. I ordered buttons. I ordered this and stuff. And I learned how to properly solder on boards, how to properly solder wires together, and how to, combine both the wires and the boards together. I mean, it just, um, it just went back and forth. So I'll show you one of my boards like this, as one of my early deals of getting and learning how to do it, right? So um, I taught myself how to do that, watched the videos on how to properly solder wires, learn the different gauges of wires. So now, I mean, I can touch wire and okay, I can know it's 30 gauge. If I touch a different one, okay, that's 24 gauge or 22 gauge, just from certain feels of how they feel. I mean, it's kind of cool actually, but at the same time, it was a little nerve wracking because watching all these different videos and looking at the forums and saying, okay, and the different charts, and I'm like, seeing charts is like having to put a puzzle together in your brain for me because I'm seeing, okay, you can do 22 or 2 times 24 and this and that. And like, okay, well, your buttons can use 28 or 30. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of different wires. So I'm like, okay, well, got to learn this stuff. So, I learn it. And most of the time when I wire my buttons, I'm using, a 26 gauge wires. Sometimes I'll go to, a 28, just depending if I have room. If I don't have the room for the 26, I'll go to the 28. And if need be, I'll go down to, 30 if need be. But I find that the 30 gauge is very, very brittle. I mean, even if you get the PATFE, it's kind of, brittle. I mean, it very easily breaks if you put too much pressure onto it. And, well, it doesn't take much either. So, Mundo, you stated installing a good time, lots of help You're learning from the best. Space, JD, and Harris. Yeah, man. I've really learned a lot from these guys, and I really thank God for these guys, because if I do get stuck really so bad, I can email or call Harris uh and JAD and Space, and they're right there to help me, man. And it's good to have people like that that you can count on and say, hey, dude, I'm stuck on this. What are your thoughts on how to go about it, right? Um, for instance, on the F-16 hill, I'm using the 12 millimeter speaker. I mean, speakers. Oh my God, my brain is, like I said, my brain is going 100 miles an hour, right? The 12 millimeter buttons, right? And these require the what's recommended from the custom saber shop is the variable resistors, right? The variable resistors, and these are, I am really having a hard time fitting into the small chassis, and I'm using the chassis set up from Smuggler's Outpost, right? I got it from Albert, and Albert is awesome too, because I can text Albert or email Albert, hey, I'm having a problem, with doing a wire here. How would you go about doing it? And or is this wire correct to this? What I'm doing, is that correct? And he'll tell me. He'll say, yeah, man, that's the way to do it right there. Or you need to shorten the wire up here and then do this. So he'll put me on the proper, on the proper way to do things. And I almost had this complete, but I had to take everything apart because the way I had wired the resistors in there, it there wasn't enough room, and it was. I hate the F-16. I thought I would like it, but not so much, Rich. Hey, that's okay though, man. That's okay. Eventually, I'm gonna get two, because this is gonna be my Mortal Kombat set, man. I've decided that these hilts are going to be the Mortal Kombat set, and I want to get the black and blue one, but I want to have some icicles or some kind of like ice painting on it, so that it represents Sub-Zero, since the black and yellow one already represents Scorpion, right? So that's going to be a lot really interesting when I get the two together and have them, you know, put. Um, Eventually, I want to get a Saber stand with the Mortal Kombat logo on it and have the two hilts on there like that. I think that'd be dope. I think that'd be freaking dope, right? So, but yeah, then again, so yeah, this is why I look forward to Mundo Mondays, to kick back and enjoy a great show. Hey, thanks, Rudy. Again, man, appreciate it, much appreciated. And that's what I'm here for, man. I'm here to spread a lot of joy and just kind of hang out with people, because there's too many, there's too much hate in this world. And take the little time, enjoy your friends, enjoy talking about what you love, and make the world go round. When you make the world go round, when you put smiles on people's faces, when you have interesting conversations, that makes the world go around. That brings a little love in this world. That brings a little joy to people. And that's what I want to build into this channel. I want to build into the joy for people to come and hang out, talk, have fun. I mean, it's talk Sabers, different parts of Sabers, whatever, man. And even if we don't want to talk about Sabers, hey, it's cool. We'll incorporate Sabers and then talk about other things. So, and eventually I want to not only do this channel, but my Mundo's channel as well. On there, I'm probably going to do some different discussions on the Mundo's channel, and that the Mundo's channel is going to be kind of connected with Albatross Junction, and also different things that we can talk about. And so if people have any ideas of what you want to talk about on the Mundo channel, hey, I'm all ears, man. Send me an email. Hey, what you want to talk about? Let's get them going. Let's do a Mundo channel, and we'll get on and we'll get together and we'll have some shots. We'll have some beer, whatever you want to drink, and we'll kick back, have a few laughs, and enjoy. Because even R2, you want to enjoy? Yep. Really? Oh, okay. Okay. Oh my God, this dude, man. He says he even wants some specialty oil for shots. Man, spoiled droid. I tell you, he's a, right? He's a spoiled droid, man. Can't help it. I spoil him, but man, I don't dare let him run around because if I let him run around, oh my God, I'll never see the end of it. Jeez, he'll be sucking up all the power from everything else in here. Uh, my little buddy. Let's see. Since he says, "Do you check out the classic rivalry fonts from Blue Mamba?" I did, man. That was kind of dope, dude. Uh, Blue Mamba. Wow, it was dope. I don't, but I don't think I will ever get a Mamba hilt, though. Be honest with you. I'm so afraid that thing would be falling apart in my hands. Chet goes, when I was learning, people were keeping their trade secrets to themselves. Yeah, I mean, that's not a whole lot of people wanted to give up what secrets there were, honestly. And at some point in time, you really can't blame them because with people, certain companies that I'm not going to even mention on here because they're really not worth mentioning. Um, that treat their employees bad and just steal concepts of things and even people's work, and it's a shame that they have to do that, and that brings bad experiences to people who actually enjoy things in this industry, this hobby, excuse me. So it really puts a bad taste in things like that, and then you've got all these scammers that come out and try to give you a cheap hilt, that they put all these expensive hilts in their pictures and in their website, and you can get this for this much, and like, no, man. And you know that saying that goes, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. There you go. So don't buy into that hype, right? Don't buy into that hype. Make sure make sure you get to the reputable people. And again, um or even just, go back and do the transition, learn it yourself, build it yourself. Find out how it feels. And again, like John from Collector's Outpost, he's weathering his own sabers instead of sending it out. And he's an artist, and you know that's part of the artistic flow that he has, is to weather the sabers. And again, he does an amazing job of showcasing all the different sabers that he has, what he likes about him, what he doesn't like about him, and all the things that could go wrong with him, maybe all the things that are good with him, the company that he bought from, uh a lot of great information. So again, there is so much great information out there that you can acquire and start your transition from being a buyer to an installer yourself. For me, I've bought one. um this will be my second one, but the thing is that this Graflex that I am purchasing is going to be from people very special, and you will see that at a later date when it is ready and people are ready to showcase it and all that good stuff, right? um these are people that I highly trust, and I'm sure you might figure out who they are already because I've been talking about them in here. But I wouldn't trust a whole lot of people to do something like this. um and because I'm very intimidated of doing something this great myself, I'm not to that point yet. I know where my limits are, what I can do, what I can't do. And that's another thing, that start small. Don't be like me. What I did was I tried to run instead of crawl, and I went backwards. I had to go backwards. Yeah, crawl on your hands and knees and then build myself up. And then I got to the point where I got to where the memory saber was working. So, I learned a lot, but I rushed a lot of things, and I should have done a little bit slower. So, but there was the transition of me having the funds to do it, me having the time to do it, and the resources where to get things and the components. So all of those factors bring in where your transition goes from being a buyer to an installer yourself. And again, let me reiterate, for those of us who feel special, it is special when we build it. Um, when we build those sabers and we light them up for the first time, you can't beat that feeling. That is, I mean, it is exponentially endorphin load. You are out of this world, dopamine in your brain going 100 miles an hour because it is pure joy when you get to fire those sabers. And you know, even when I fire up any saber and I hear, oh my God, dude, it's just like, ooh. Now let's get the movie going. Let's get the saber fights going, and it's gonna be kicking. It's gonna be kicking. So with this, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bid you guys a farewell good night. Mundo going to be out, and I am going to come up with another topic for next Mundo Monday, and I hope you guys have a great week. Um, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna pull some kind of great, great topic out of my ass. But you know, again, I'm hoping some guests will come on. We'll have some good fun with the guests and stuff, and I'll be sending some emails out to people to come out, and you know, if they can, it'd be great. And if they can't, hey, it's all good. Much love, you know, until we can. It's all good. So from here on out, Mundo out. Mundo out. Peace. Love you guys.
Here we pour whiskey.